Good afternoon, everybody. How are you today? And welcome to the latest edition of Drew Mania Live. Nice to have you with us for this Wednesday, the 12th day of June, the year 2019. And of course, this is yours truly, Andrew L. Perry. And yes, indeed, as always, coming to you live and at you from the busy streets, which is Brooklyn, New York, as I chat to you what is happening in the world of sports. Well, we have a lot of things to do today. We have the Yankees and the Mets. Both have a day off today. Tonight. We'll recap we'll recap the Subway Series that happened in New York. But let's get a lot of things. Let's get a lot of updates right away as we get ready, and we will preview Game 7 tonight, which is tonight of the Stanley Cup Finals between the St. Louis Blues and the Boston Bruins. Whoever wins the game will get the cup. We don't need to stress for this more. I don't know if, but before we get into that, let's start with the Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant did just post not too long ago on Instagram that his surgery was success. He did have surgery today on his Achilles. So it's a success. It's doing good. The long process, the long recovery will start immediately. Will start now. So we don't. There's no date of when he's returning, but we do know this: he's not returning to the NBA. He's not returning to the NBA Finals. He's not returning this year. You're not going to see him in this series from here on out. So that's a fact. So it's good news that he'll be back on the court soon. He'll be back on the court soon. But we'll recap game number 5. We'll recap game number 5 of what transpired Monday. But first thing, I want to jump on what happened yesterday at the World Series, Subway Series, as I say, between the Yankees and the Mets. First couple of things, the Yankees, is really an offense assault. One in the day game, one in the night game. The Yankees took a 1-0 lead. Tanaka pitch. Tanaka did not have had his best game, but he didn't give up a lot of runs, just like Zach Wheeler did. Zach Wheeler was up to a good start. He struck out as many as 4. He was doing electric stuff. He was very effective. When he was doing the pitch out of electric stuff and stuff like that. But once Voit hit have that monster home run in the 4th inning, that was it. And the Yankees never looked back in game number 1 as they won the game, and Zach Wheeler continued to struggle. He tried to fight throughout the year, throughout this game, but for some reason it didn't happen. And in the result, the Yankees just took over the game in the first game. And what's going on with Didi is a lot of it to get. But what is going on with Didi Gregorius? Didi Gregorius did not. This is the second time he has missed the ball. I know the one against the Cleveland Indians, it was pretty much a tough one he should have catched. But that one, I feel he should have catched that one too. But I mean, I think Didi Gregorius is still a reliable hitter and so forth, and still reliable and stuff like that. And Luke Voit, as I mentioned, could, just like Pete Alonso for the Mets, to me, Luke Voit has become a monster for the Yankees. He getting on base, hitting a lot of home runs. He is really having a great year so far. And keeping the Yankees right now, as we speak right now, they're in second place. They're in second place right now. Even though Tampa Bay lost to Oakland today, by the score of 6-2. So the Yankees is a game back of the Tampa Bay Rays. So we'll we'll see how the division gets spotted. Now, in Game 2, as far as Game 2 goes, it was all Mets. It was all Mets. At least the Mets get a split and didn't get swept. At least they get a split for the Yankees, and Vargas. Say what you want about Vargas. Say what you want about Vargas, and every time Vargas pitching, is an automatic loss, but not tonight, not yesterday night. He did have a complete game. He did have a complete game, and I want to point this out, and they point this out in the SNY broadcast. Ever since last Monday when Mickey Callaway took Noah Syndergaard out, look how Mickey Callaway had kept his pitches longer. They let their pitchers go pitch over 100 in the past 6 games, six or more games. Look what he's been doing. It's unbelievable. And there's not much needs to say, So the Mets and the Yankees are going to have a day off, but they're going to meet each other 3 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now at Citi Field. And honestly, my advice to you, if you're going to watch any Subway series, the best out of the Nets, out of the Yes Network, out of the god-awful ES Broadcasting now, I'm sorry, you're better off listening to SNY. SNY is the best. SNY was the best broadcast as far as watching the Subway series that yesterday. I thought everything about that's why, to tell the truth, I watched the Yankees more than the Mets because I love the broadcast of Gary Coleman, Keith Hernandez, and Ron Darling, who's became for decades now. It's hard to believe. They started 2016, and now they're still together, and still I think one of the best local broadcasts in baseball. Period. In my opinion, they're way better than Michael Cape, because personally I'm not a big fan of Michael Cape, but nevertheless, it was the best broadcaster in the world, But that's where we are as far as the Yankees and Mets. As I mentioned at the top of the show, the Yankees and Mets are both having a day off tonight, so the Mets will host the Cardinals this week, and the Yankees will go on the road to take on the Chicago White Sox, looking to regain first place in the American League East Division. Now, let's go on. Let's jump into Game 3. Let's recap Game 5 of the NBA Finals between the Golden State Warriors and it's no secret, the way the Raptors handled the last minute was putrid. The Raptors had this game wrapping their fingers. They have broken the Golden State Warriors. I thought the Warriors was leading at the biggest lead of this series so far was 17 or 18. Right around the biggest lead they had was 18, and to come all the way back and take the lead. And with the last minute, I don't understand why Hurst called a timeout in the final minutes when you ice them, when you call a timeout, when the crowd was going crazy, and momentum was on your side, momentum was on the Toronto side, and you iced the momentum. You iced the momentum. That was a bad job by Nick Hurst. And not only that, you had the final sequence where, even though I gotta give Klay Thompson credit for playing solid defense, I thought that last sequence in the final seconds in Game 5 could have been a lot better than that. Could have been a lot better. To me, Kyle Lowry, even though he was shooting well all night on Monday, he did not do the good job. He did not. He rushed the shot Rightfully so. He shot the ball way too early. He didn't really get a good look. In my opinion, even though he did not have a good shooting night, you gotta give the ball to your best player, and that's Kawhi Leonard. And that's why they're going to give the Golden State Warriors for surviving. They come back. They show heart of a champion. And Game 6 is in Toronto. Now this series is getting a lot interesting now as a pivotal Game 6 for the Golden State Warriors. And can they have that same performance they have? But this time they're going on the road to take on the Toronto Raptors, and as will be without a shadow of a doubt the final game in Oracle Arena this year. Because as we told you this last week, as we told you this a couple of days ago, the Golden State Warriors were going to play in an arena in San Francisco, which starts next season to start the 2020 NBA season. Started the 2020 NBA season. Now, like I mentioned, no Durant, and the only person who knows about Achilles injury and coming back from that Achilles injuries is Kawhi Leonard. Remember, a couple of years ago, he had that same injury. He had a similar injury in the Western Conference Finals, Game 1 against the Golden State Warriors. Need I say more? And he injured. It took years to come back. It took a year for him to come back. He wanted out for San Antonio. We don't need to. You know what? Yeah, some of you know the whole story. We don't need to get into it. We really seriously don't. Really seriously don't. But the series is going to get interesting, and honestly, I can't wait to see what's going to happen. Is Toronto going to wrap it up and winning their own, and remember winning at Oakland, or the Warriors will send it to one more game for Toronto to have one more crack of winning it at home. So, a lot to look forward to, and it's needless to say, this NBA Finals is more intriguing so far. So, stay tuned. Now, speaking of intriguing, there's no other words in sports, especially baseball, hockey, and basketball. 2 words. Game 7. Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals is tonight between the Boston Bruins and the St. Louis Blues. The winner we're gonna have a new Stanley Cup champion. Would it be the St. Louis Blues who win their first title ever, or would it be the Boston Bruins whoever won it in quite some time? So it should be fascinating tonight. Boy, I'm gonna look forward to it, and all you hockey fans are looking forward to it as well. And finally, Michael Pierce showed up at camp out of shape, and for the Baltimore Ravens, even though the mighty mini camp, he showed up out of shape according to reports, and John Harbaugh had to put him aside and say, you know what, let me. I'm not gonna put you in because you're not in shape yet. So get back to him. And with that, that's going to do it for this edition of Drew Media Live. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to listen to this episode again, please go to Spreaker.com. Type in the keyword Andrew L. Perry. Once again, type in the keyword Andrew L. Perry. Until follow my show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. Until then, this is Andrew Perry saying to you, Shalom.